Hello Sim Gamers, welcome back to some Let's Play Sailwind. We've just loaded up our game after having made it this far to the Dragon Cliffs. The Dragon Cliffs are that away. Oh, there we go. That direction. East-southeast of here. We're currently in a gale. So we're going to go ahead and get ourselves in motion. Oops, wrong button. It's probably fine though, honestly. Looks like this wind angle is giving us a bit of a break. So we might be able to turn... Yeah, we ought to be able to turn due east. At any rate. Get us pointed closer to our destination. We do need to take some pressure off this sheet winch. And then do whatever we can to make sure we're trimmed for neutral sailing so we don't end up in the dead zone prematurely. It took us 10 days to leave Gold Rock City and get sight of land. Good old close-hauled sailing. The sandbuck is pretty good at it. The, I think the Tacking... No, it's the junk. The junk over here, the large ship available in Emerald in the Emerald Archipelago, specifically I think at Dragon Cliffs, is better equipped to sail close-hauled than the sandbuck is. We are still tending to turn just ever so slightly windward, so I'm going to trim my sails, or trim that trim the mizzen mast sheet winch. And as you can see, it is providing us with just a little bit of forward momentum, but most of our forward momentum is coming from the main mast. We are loaded down with some 3,500 pounds worth of cargo, mostly copper and some silk. In fact, we can take a look at the log. We've got copper, which is due in 26 days, and silk Dragon Cliffs due tomorrow. Dragon Cliffs being the big island. Okay, we're in a fairly stable sailing configuration here. Got a cloudy day, windy day, moderate waves, and some fishing time. Let's go ahead and catch a little meal here really quick today. We are no longer sailing with by the stars or using Dead Reckoning. We never really used Dead Reckoning on this traversal, mainly because we didn't have a speedometer. More or less, we just made sure we were headed in the right direction, pointed east, and following along the 31st parallel. And we knew as we were coming down, based on the wind and stuff, we were pushing ourselves a little bit further south here and there. There was a time or two where I turned northward to correct that based on the latitude readings I was getting. The only tool you actually need to make this trip, as far as navigation is concerned, is the quadrant. It's a fairly affordable piece of equipment. It looks like this is with the sandbuck though. 2 full casks of water, 1 cask, 1 thing of backup food, 1 crate of hooks, 1 box of hooks, and a fishing rod. Takes care of all your basic supplies. Everything else I have is for my own personal comfort, I guess. I never did switch out these fishing hooks. I still have 3 full boxes down below. We've used a little over half of our water. There were some rainy days and Sundays and things like that where we had to use our eat our goat cheese and other meals that we were carrying on our pockets because we just didn't have time to fish. There was just too much going on. Sailwind is giving us a free pass. Seems like the seas have calmed down and we can just count on some smoother sailing. We're tending to turn leeward, so I'm going to tighten up. Maybe I'll go ahead and do a turn and a 3/4 of a turn there and see how that does us as far as drift, compass drift. We are going windward slightly, so get rid of a 1/4 turn. When sailing 2-masted vessels, really the balancing the amount of wind force on both of your masts is everything. In order to go straight, you have to have obviously enough wind striking and diverting across your sails to provide forward momentum. But also, since both the sails act on the front and the aft, the fore and the aft of the ship, got to balance the amount of wind pressure is being exerted fore and aft to keep the boat going straight. The lateen is a relatively simple ship to operate. It's only got 4 winches. These for the sandbuck, these 2 lateen sails. All that said, though, this ship is begging for a bunch of customization, assuming I get enough money to do so. I could potentially see myself running 2 gaffs, like a really big gaff. I don't know. I don't know what kind of sail I want to put on the main mast. Get a gaff sail on back. I mean, we could rig it like the brig with these 2 masts, or would it be the not the cacum, the Eastern starting ship? Put a gaff on back, square sail the whole thing up, a jib on front, on the front to the bowsprit. That'll make it work more like a regular sailing vessel. But doing so would really change its upwind sailing characteristics. Which, all things considered, it's pretty good at right now. How am I doing on food and water? Need to take some drinks of water. The Emerald Archipelago in particular is marked with this gorgeous green water, gusty winds, oftentimes cloudy days, but not necessarily stormy days. Heading east is getting us very, very close hauled, so I'm going to go ahead and dial in here for that configuration. Maybe we just continue east-southeast, take this slightly unfavorable tack for more speed. Getting into sunset here. The ship is configured well for the rest of the sailing, so we'll catch you guys in the morning. Take my lantern down below and go to bed in a little while. And that's going to take us a considerable ways east. You know what I might do actually before evening? I've changed my mind. Before that sun sets, I'm going to go ahead and tack over to northward. Yeah, that seems like the right thing to do. Nice thing about the Emerald Archipelago is that all the land masses are really tall. Each region has their own characteristics. Gold Rock City is a great starting area, the El region. But notably, it's hard, like, I'm seeing multiple islands from very far out. Whereas in Gold Rock City, unless you're, or El some of the islands are invisible until you've sailed for a half a day or a day. We're going to be able to complete this maneuver. That's the real question. Or do we end up dead in the water? The foresail is converting. And we're still turning. Good. We've completed the tack, or are completing the tack. It'll be especially easy if I let out some steam there, so the foresail has more wind authority. And while we're waiting for all this to clear up here, we'll go ahead and light up our deck. I would rather not sail northwest. I can go northwest though, that'll work. Actually, you know what? North is fine. More or less north. I'm just checking for compass drift before I think about settling down. We are turning very slightly windward, so get rid of 1/2 turn of the mizzenmast sheet winch. I'm going to get rid of another 1/2 turn. If we end up turning leeward a little bit, I would not actually be sad. Not moving particularly fast, but this is a fine sailing configuration throughout the night. Let's go ahead and shut down our lights, get ourselves to bed. And catch you guys in the morning. Boop. Good morning once again, Sim Gamers. Waves are starting to pick up a little bit, looks like. Let's just get some lights going to see while we're waiting for dawn to pop over the horizon. I am honestly not sure. That's an awfully big island. In this little map here, we can see that the biggest island is the Dragon Cliffs. So I'm inclined to think that that is where we need to go. And it's essentially due east of us right now. The question is, will the wind let us do that and let us get there? I'm going to tighten my sheet winches all the way down. Yeah. Including the mizzen mast. As we know, it tends to turn us windward anyway when it's tight. Full rudder to starboard. Full starboard rudder. As we push through this tack, going from our starboard tack to the port tack. Oh, nice. Got a full grab on the wind there. And we haven't lost that much speed. In order to prevent us from turning windward, I'm going to put all the wind pressure on the front sail right now, on the foresail. On the main sail. Sailing directly into the rising sun. And there we go. Let's get our mizzen mast trimmed up. Actually, it kind of may be perfect right about there. Maybe pull it in one half turn. And the sun's coming over the horizon, so some of these lights can go now. Make sure we're headed due east if we can. Due east is in the dial. Let out a half turn of the mizzen mast because we're tending to turn slightly windward. All right. Atomic Chef says, I've been putting these videos on while I make meals. It's the perfect vibe. Thanks for making them. I'm really enjoying it. Are you looking forward to the new islands coming to the game? Yes, Atomic Chef. I'm definitely looking forward to the new islands and other content coming to Sailwind. Be sure to join the official Sailwind Discord for the latest Sailwind news. Link in the description below. That was Beach Walk by Harris Heller, available as part of the Stream Beats Lo-Fi playlist on Spotify. Let's turn north. Go ahead and tack through, get off this port tack onto a starboard tack. As I recall, the Dragon Cliff entrances are northish and east-ish. So unless we want to sail all the way back around the backside of the island, we should definitely tack north. Foresail's catching wind, so I want to just let the mizzen mast get off the wind. Foresail will help push us through this turn quicker. Once we're pacing north, I will straighten out and lock the rudder and then get the mizzen mast figured out. Helm locked. You know, that was a pretty good guess. Still tending to turn pretty darn windward even with the rudder locked. I anticipate we'll be at Dragon Cliffs tomorrow. Doesn't look like we're gonna quite make it today. Which does mean we won't be getting the full reward for the silk. But we will for the copper. I anticipate we'll be at Dragon Cliffs tomorrow. Doesn't look like we're gonna quite make it today. Which does mean we won't be getting the full reward for the silk. But we will for the copper. Sounds like a storm brewing in the area. Yeah, we're on top of it basically. I'm gonna let out the sheet winches and let this weather vane. In fact, I think we've probably gone far enough north. So I'm going to go ahead and withdraw all my sails and just let the storm pass through the night. We can get ourselves reoriented then and figure out where to proceed from there. I've spent a lot of time sleeping through stormy nights in this game rather than navigating. Last night, I opted to just go to bed and let this storm blow over. I retracted all the halyards until it was basically standing still. Right over there is Dragon Cliffs. We're a little bit north of it now, which is great. Now we just need to figure out how to get ourselves underway because we are heading directly into the wind. Let's go ahead and hit reverse, as it were. So we're going to back up to port slowly. It'll take us a little bit. As soon as we have enough of a wind angle on the main sail, we will engage that to get going forward again. Learning how to get going on a dead stop is a necessary skill. And different ships have different characteristics on how they handle it. This one takes a little while because I don't have a sail I can grab a hold of, nor do I have a big square sail in the middle that I can just unfurl and use as reverse. So I'm paying attention. The mizzen mast lateen sail is just weather vaning. As we slowly make this turn, and as it weather vanes, it will let me know when we finally get to a wind angle that I can use to begin forward motion again. No, this needs to be weather vaning, right? It's weather vaning on purpose. Getting there takes a little while for the wind to actually push on this boat enough to back it up. If I had a way to grab onto this and haul on it, that would help, but I don't. We should be able to put into Dragon Cliffs today, because this wind is blowing. Oh yeah, we've got a nice favorable wind. Once we get ourselves moving again, that is. I want a little bit more sail angle. Actually, you know what I can do? No, don't do that. Wrong thing. If I drop the main mast what little wind we have will tend to push on the mainmast, causing us to turn starboard. So what I need to do is neutral the rudder, lock it, lower the mainmast, hard to starboard. And a combination of the wind pushing us on starboard what little it can, this weather vaning so it's not really doing much, it's causing us to turn starboard. Onward to Dragon Cliffs. We're not going to be quite running before the wind, but real close. Now I'm just trimming up my sails for neutral sailing. The sail still seems to be stuck on the mast. Oh, there it goes. It popped free. Hooray! We could turn a little further south. What is going on here? Sailing simulation seemed to have stopped for a moment. Okay, we're turning further south. Seems like the mizzen mast is putting out too much rudder pressure, too much aft pressure for us to have rudder authority and adjust. I want to be going east-southeast if you don't mind, boat. Okay. Let this out more, get the right angle on that sail. And the rest is trimming for neutral controls. That very well may be the entrance arch right there. I think it is. So we finally made it after 12 days at sea. Dragon Cliffs ahead of us. It's very difficult to make out the actual entrance area, but I'm pretty sure that little apex right there is the top of the entrance arch. Let's configure for efficient sailing here. That looks all right. If it wasn't such a hazy day, we'd really be able to tell, but we can't because it's a hazy day. But I'm inclined to think that if I recall correctly, it's been a long time. It's been a long time since I've played, about a year and a half, before I started this series again. There's a northern arch and essentially an eastern exit. Maybe southeast, I can't remember. In any case, we're going to get in here. We're going to be turning eastward, turning to port. And what time is it? We can sort of tell with the sundial. It's quite early. Oh, it's getting on to the evening already. Yeah. All right, it's starting to come out. we're well rested enough to navigate this area at night if we need to. The haze might just be lifting a little bit. Spin around our ship. Looks like we can pull in this sail a turn. Maybe the same with the mizzen mast. Or half turn anyway. Yeah, another half turn on the mizzen. All right. Now all we need to do is navigate this somewhat narrow channel. Given that we were able to navigate the super narrow channel of Albacore Town, don't go there in a big ship. Just choose not to. Choose not to go to Albacore Town in a big ship. You will get yourself in trouble. And we know that there's a large ship available in here in the variety of the junk. As it gets on into the evening, we are passing the threshold into the inner bay of the Dragon Cliffs. The wind is quite light. That may be a natural phenomenon that happens here because of the relative height of these walls, right? Shielding the area from wind. Sometimes such things can actually just become a wind tunnel, magnifying the wind right through it. Let's go ahead and get our lights on here, just so we can make sure we can clearly see what's going on. And off there in the distance, I can see the tucked away city of Dragon Cliffs. Just paying attention to the landscape here to maneuver our way in. As there are some shallows and things we need to be a little bit worried about. Coupled with the fact that we essentially need to turn upwind to dock. So, gotta be cognizant of that. Grab a little bit more wheel. And we're coming in nice. There is the junk, as we mentioned before. We have run aground. We've run aground, folks. Good job, me. So I need to let up the sail and back it up. This is a very narrow passage. I'm going to wheel to starboard see about pushing on the ship to go backwards. And see if I can't get it free and then over more to port. No, maybe the thing is to just crank it port. All right. Can we push? We were pretty much going straight. When we ran aground. Okay, turning port is not the move. Let's try starboard. All right. Here's my feedback to the developer. I get that this game's supposed to be hard, especially some of these areas to get into. Right, this is the medium difficulty area. This is where the large ship is. But these underwater obstacles that are completely invisible when we're otherwise clear of cliffs, they've got to go. They've got to go. They've got to go. There's no reason I should be stuck and have to do whatever it is, these shenanigans I have to do to get my ship stuck on off an invisible barrier that had no indication of being there. I guess we recover the boat and see what happens. Recovering your boat will transport you along with your boat to the nearest capital city and will cost you 5% of your total money. You'll also receive food, water, and rest. Okay. 5% of my total money is nothing. But this is a problem. Other islands have the obstacles clearly marked. I understand it's supposed to be a difficult game. I get that. But from everything that I could see, even standing on the bow and looking overboard, I was clear of any obstacles. So I'm chalking that one up to some extra design work that needs to happen. Anyway, we're here. As soon as these mooring lines actually get us nestled in, I'm gonna go ahead and move this one there. And where's the cargo drop? Where do we drop off cargo? It's over there. All right. Let's get ourselves offloaded and receive our delicious rewards. Here is the last of our cargo to drop off. We get silk turned in, done, and copper turned in. We're done. Now let's see how we did. Reputation. Al Ankh. We gained a metric ass ton of reputation from that. We went from less than 8,000, like 6,000 something, 6,500 something, to 19,000, giving us 20% discount now. Emerald Archipelago in one shot, we now have 20% discount. That's fantastic. Took us 13 days to do so. And we now have 8,560 of the Emerald Dragons. We are still loaded up with plenty of supplies. I'm going to go ahead and worry about trading and getting supplies refreshed off camera. Let me back off to a nice little shot here from the Emerald Archipelago. We made it. More or less. Just a reminder, feedback for the dev. get rid of these underwater obstacles that are there and there, please. If they're impossible to see before you run aground, then they need to be gone. Or they need to have a pole or something indicating that they're there so people can understand they need to steer well clear of them. Until next time, I'm Sim Gamer, and this has been, I'm trying to find a shot, Sailwind, a game available in early access on Steam.